Hello and welcome to Building the Premier Accounting Firm. I'm your host, Roger Kinect, president of Universal Accounting Center, and each and every week I'm bringing on the show guests, experts to actually help us operate, own, have successful bookkeeping, accounting, and tax businesses. It's here that you're going to learn the information that you need to work on your business and, in fact, offer quality accounting services and get paid what you're worth. So today, my guest happens to be someone I've known for some time. We've had amazing conversations in the past. It is Seth Feinberg, and I'm sure many of you are familiar with Seth. Seth is actually the founder of Accountants Forward. It's his core belief that learning and sharing knowledge that can improve someone's life is the greatest achievement one can have. He's someone that is very integral into the accounting space. In fact, he is someone that focuses a lot on technology and the changing trends that exist within the accounting field, as well as how business, accounting firms, and technology companies serve one another as they're actually growing and bringing to their clients and customers quality services. In the accounting profession and business in general, he's been through major transitions over the past decade and has been honored to bear witness to the changes and share what he has learned in order to actually aid individuals and organizations on their journey. In addition, he is an avid foodie, beer snob, baseball fanatic, musician, husband, and proud father of two. So Seth, welcome to the show.
I know that's a lot. I should probably pare that down at some point, Roger. Thank you so much for having me. But,
well, it's a lot for a good reason. You're a good man.
Thank you. Thank you. I feel that I've put in some time and some love and some effort into this crazy career that I've had, which predominantly has been as a journalist, a business journalist and editor. That really has been, what has been on the paycheck. And of late, just for those who don't know, I mean, due to fairly recent events, at least a year ago at this point, I no longer, have that role, and I needed to figure out what my next chapter is going to be. And I also knew in reading the tea leaves that it would be best, for me, and I know that I would be happiest if I could continue with my belief that this profession of accounting that I've covered for over 20 years or more at this point can move forward. So that's why I came up with the DBA that I did, but it's still me.
Yeah, it is you. But I'm wanting to jump into a few things here. First of all, what brought you into the accounting profession to begin with? You've been doing it for 20 years, but admittedly, there's a start. Give me an idea of what brought you into the accounting profession.
So as most journalists do, particularly trade journalists, you tend to have a lot of different, roles, a lot of different jobs throughout your career. I found myself in business journalism very, very early on, and accounting was just another job. It was Accounting Today, who I hadn't heard of at the time, was looking for an associate editor. And writer and someone who could cover the field. And then, just like most trades, you learn while doing. And being a trade journalist, a business journalist, you just dive in, you immerse yourself. And what was fun at the time, this was back in 2002, the ink was still drying on Sarbanes-Oxley. And so the profession was already still kind of readjusting itself from that major shift. And so I was covering a lot of how firms were dealing with that. And then, I kind of worked alongside their technology editor at the time, who felt like things were already starting to kind of bubble up and change even back then. We didn't hear about cloud. We didn't hear about apps or AI or any of the things that we're talking about today. Not back then, but technology was still very much taking its hold on the profession, in the desktop world, of course. But that was still just like, there was a lot of pushback that I had heard about even from the 90s of moving to desktop for everything that you do, or moving to some pieces of software. And a lot of accountants back then were sort of worried that would devalue what they would do. And, if software does this, then where's my value? And these were conversations coming out of the 90s, my friends. So, but not to the degree that it amped up when cloud started getting in the conversation. It definitely not to the degree of what we're hearing now with AI. But the thing is, in some ways, I've heard it before just in different ways, in different times. The panic, the confusion, the just the whole idea that you're being asked to change the way you do things. Accountants and human beings in general don't like that. So that's how I kind of got into, yeah, just to answer your question, that's how I got into it. It was a job, just to be
Yeah.
very kind of blunt about it. It was a job. But I had no idea at the time I wouldn't want to leave it, even when I tried.
Yeah. Well, the idea of you being a journalist is somewhat unique because you try to maintain objectivity. You
Yeah,
try to be objective in what you're speaking of and
sure.
not be swayed by the trends and the personalities. So I'm curious, as an outside observer of the accounting profession, what perspective do you have of us? Would you refer to us as humble, as arrogant, as necessary? I mean, what terminologies would you use to describe and maybe I don't know, not necessarily pigeonhole us, but basically stereotype us?
Passionate. You got into this career. A lot of you who I've met over the years started with you had a passion for numbers, figuring things out, for
Uh-huh.
order, everything in its place, for things, understanding how things function and work. And you enjoyed that. Some of you really genuinely enjoyed being a part of the process of helping. You were there to help, much in the way that doctors help patients, much in the way that anyone in professional service is helping an individual. You have the passion to help, to want to help. Whether you might admit that or not, the majority of you that I've met over the years, that's what motivates you to do what you do. And I can't think of a greater, thing in life. As you mentioned, with my bio at the beginning, it is something that I believe in. I even started out my educational career thinking, with that ethos, with just that, I want to help somehow, and I thought that I would go into social work. I didn't know that journalism would ever be, I don't know that I even had the confidence as a writer to do that until I had enough college professors and people in my life saying, no, this is where you should go. This is where you can best serve. So, but anyway, enough about me. That's what I think about accountants.
Yeah, well, that perspective is hugely insightful because one of the things that I really appreciate is the choice of words you offered, because I would like to think that we as an accounting profession are perceived, as you said, as being helpful, as being passionate, because I have also met so many individuals that are passionate about what we do, the difference that it can make in business, the part we play
And
as.
personal lives too.
Yes, yes, personally, professionally, but just the effect we bring to the economy, that
Hmm.
we are so integral to the success of business. And
Yeah.
I'm happy to know that in your journalistic perspective, you're able to see that passion and that helping attitude that so many of us bring to the profession. So thank you for those words. But the other thing I wanted to ask is, you did admittedly in your bio speak of the major transitions over the past decades.
Hmm.
I was curious, are there two or three changes, transitions that you journalistically would say were the, let's say, pivotal moments in the profession, things that were changing that affected us as professionals or the economy, the business world?
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously, from whatever the tone of business, whether business is good, the economy is good or bad or indifferent, the accountant is constant. The accountant is always there to figure out how to navigate, how to remain compliant, keep clients compliant, but on top of that, also stay financially viable. And if all else fails and things need to shutter, as they did, particularly over the pandemic, uh, and even earlier on, I remember back in just, crash back in 2008, 2009 time period. I think we had another dip back in 02, 03. Whatever the current of the economy, however the current of the economy flows, the accountant is there to help, again, navigate those waters. So economic downturns, highs and lows, for one, definitely, like I said, back, also just the regulatory environment too.
Uh-huh.
All of the regulatory changes that have happened, it doesn't seem to, I won't say it doesn't phase accountants, it most certainly does, but they've been able to navigate it and oftentimes, with aplomb, because who else, I often, bristle at the idea of the accountant being change averse, maybe in their own processes and in how they like to go about things. They might be averse to that, but change, accountants deal with change on a regular basis. Just look at all of the changes just here in America. The US tax code is so convoluted and continues to get more complicated by the day. And yet all of those changes you deal with every year, every quarter, every time there's a new administration. It doesn't matter. The accountant is there to deal with that. So so getting back to some of the shifts that I've seen. So that's economic shifts, obviously shifts in technology, how work is done. They've had to kind of navigate those waters and continue to. There was a time I think technology maybe didn't play as heavily into how you work and how your clients want to work and do work and communicate. Don't forget, communicate. You've all had to navigate that in multiple ways.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm going to add to your list of things there that you're sharing a few things that I have felt have been very momentous in the years I've been involved in accounting. And I'm going back into the 90s. And so if anyone's older, they can perhaps add to the list. But the first thing I would say is back in the good old 90s, at least, you could say that the accounting was still very much paper oriented. It was recording things by hand. Yeah. Really, computers hadn't taken their hold within the business community. I mean, they were starting to show up in the sense that you had your Lotus 123, maybe your Excel, and you started to record transactions in kind of a digital format. But the accounting software was just coming on the scene. And you had your Quicken, you had your QuickBooks. But the point is these were all new to the profession. And so the evolution from paper to computer was a huge change. And I do feel that it accelerated our ability to actually produce reports. I mean, back in the day, you had to do all the calculations. If somebody wanted to do a quarterly analysis, it was a lot of number crunching. Today, you put in the date ranges, you pick a report parameter, and voila, the report comes out. And so I think technology in that capacity has been very momentous as to how it impacted us as a profession. The second thing is I think our perspective of or expectations of accounting has definitely moved away from being historical in nature. There's that real-time component. What's going on now? What's my cost per acquisition? What's my average revenue per customer? These averages and so forth are just readily available, and they're just used now to make very pivotal decisions in business. And so I think we're much more integral as a profession in the success of business than we once were. I believe business owners rely more on the numbers today, or can or should, than they had, say, 20, 30 years ago. The next thing I would add to the momentous change is I would feel events, conferences have really changed the landscape for the accounting profession. There are now a number of live events where you can go and receive training and meet your peers, hear from experts. And so there's something that is really changed in the last 10 years of people going to these events and really experiencing something as a profession that I would dare say didn't exist 20 years ago. So these events are something that I'd really like to talk to you about. But the last thing I would add to this whole thing is As a profession, I think we're taking on more and more an advisory role. I believe our clients are more interested in what we see, our perspective, our insights, than in the past. And so we're starting to get a voice in the business world, and we have a seat at the table where we can contribute information, insights to help business leaders make decisions. And so that voice is something new. I believe accounting professionals years ago, decades ago, would have thought that they were just providing the information, the reports, and they would walk away and their opinions didn't count. Well, today they do. And I do believe people are wondering, well, what do you think? And that's, I think, very empowering for us as a profession. So just some highlights to add to your list. Would you have
Yeah,
anything to say about the things I mentioned?
a lot. You
Okay,
mentioned a
pick
lot.
one.
Well, let's see. All right. Let's elephant in the room.
Yeah.
The big A word. Advisory. Sure.
Yeah.
Let's dig into that a little bit. Because I'm actually, if you allow me a moment of self promotion, I'm actually going to be later next month. I'm going to be with the lovely Kelly Parks, who you might know,
Yeah, Kelly. Yeah, I know Kelly.
bookkeeper extraordinaire, really, really amazing human being, and um, really kind of on the thinking edge of where bookkeepers and the bookkeeping profession could be going. So we're talking about this idea of advisor being advisor, and we're not real happy with how it's kind of been marketed or maybe where it's sort of come from. So that's an issue.
Interesting.
That's an
Okay.
issue. But I think that at its core, you can't deny that this is something that accountants have naturally evolved to do because their
Uh-huh.
clients expect them to do it. And it starts with, as the great Jeannie Whitehouse has been saying for years, communication.
Yeah.
Talk to your clients. Once you start doing that, guess what? You're doing that advisory or advisor, type of thing. You are on that path. Now, whether you decide to do that in a more official capacity and really kind of, then you can get into like the value of you and how you price that and all of those things because you are a business at the end of the day, even as a practitioner, if you're a firm owner, you're a business owner, you've got to think about sort of your own financials, something that ironically, a lot of accountants don't tend to do or prioritize. And so it's interesting to see that. So yes, naturally, the natural evolution, I think, through technology, taking some of the time that it used to do things away, and also just the general tone of the day as businesses and individuals wanting more from the folks who are keeping their financials. That financial record that you have as a bookkeeper, that's like your doctor's chart. Your doctor has been tracking you for years. They know like the health of you just as you know the health of the businesses that you serve. So why wouldn't you just go, what should I be doing next? And I think that's just kind of a natural, conversation. But you can make that more readily available, and make that a part of your business. But yeah, to your point, Roger, yes, I think that has been a natural evolution, and I don't think it's something necessarily to be avoided. The problem with the marketing side of things is the whole demand that you must do this to survive. You have to be this. Accountants and people in general, they don't like that. We're adults. We don't like being told what we should be and do. But if you come at it from a different way, a softer way of saying, hey, all of these things, you're already doing it. Do you want to figure out how to charge for that? Do you want to figure out how this
Hmm.
can be a part of your business life? Let's have that conversation. You don't even have to call it. You don't even have to call it advisor if you don't want to, you know,
Yeah.
but you are doing it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. You are doing it. Many of the conversations I have with the accountants, bookkeepers, tax preparers, is they do say that the dialogue, the amount of conversation they're having with their clients has increased. So the business owners are more inquisitive and they're more curious of what it is we as a profession have to contribute to the conversation about their financials and their tax situation. And so because the conversation is more open, that conversation can be one that you just voluntarily share the information,
Yeah.
which many find that they are doing. But then it's realizing that this information I'm sharing comes from a great deal of study, research, experience,
Yeah.
training that I'm going through, and it has value. It took me time and money to acquire these insights, to gain this perspective, to gain this expertise. So how do I monetize all this training experience that I've acquired over the years so that my client isn't just freely benefiting from all of my time and effort? And so all of a sudden we're trying to monetize it, and the question simply becomes, the profession tells us, all these conferences, all the experts are telling us that we need to be more value add in our delivery, but I need to monetize it. How do I go about doing that? And so to your and Kelly's point, there is a great deal of conversation about how do we give that a price, a worth that we can now charge for. And then I think even
how is it presented out there too?
Bingo. And now all of a sudden it's how do we then deliver that as a service to our clients, because they're paying for it now. If we've asked for money, we're being paid for it. How do we deliver it in a very structured way that it has worth? It's not just some casual conversation any longer.
Right.
But to your point and Kelly's, you're saying that as a profession being marketed to, how are we being pitched this opportunity, and how are we being sold the means to achieve this and comfortably offer it?
Exactly.
Is that fair?
Yeah, and that's a challenge. I think there's a lot of noise out there. You asked earlier about some of the things that accountants have had to navigate over the years. I think there's just a lot more services out there that want accountants' attention because either they want it directly or indirectly because they want access to your client base, not like in a spammy sort of way, but just it means a lot to that business to be able to have, your clients, use these things, use these services, and it'll benefit you too, Mr. and Mrs. Accountant, because, you're going to be the hero. You're going to be able to produce these reports. You're going to be able to do all these wonderful other things because of our service, because of our technology. And I think that is another issue that I am kind of building some of my business around, which is how that communication between service providers and vendors is done between accountants, because I think that relationship is strained, but it's essential. And there was a time, as I mentioned early on, there was a time where it wasn't as essential. You went to the store, you went to your Staples, you went to your Office Depot, wherever it was, you picked up your software, eventually, maybe you got in touch with a rep from said software company, and they helped you set it up and all these things, and you're off to the races. You don't necessarily need a relationship with them. Nowadays, because there are so much out there claiming to do, like no disrespect to any of the just calling on an example, no disrespect to any of the AP services out there or AP software makers out there, but how many do you need? How many are going to say to you, you get paid faster? Okay, great, because that's what you want to do. But there's just a lot. Again, no disrespect at all. There are some great services out there, but in general, with whatever it is, payroll, I don't know, even accounting, whatever it is, there's just a lot of noise out there to navigate, in addition to just everything else that an accountant just professionally has to do in their day. And so I've recognized that. So I'm trying to sit on the side of the profession, but part of the profession to me is seeing that relationship is better. So it's the service providers as well as the service consumers, or even the service recommenders. How about that?
Yeah. Well, there are a lot of shiny objects. I would definitely admit that there are things that people consider as essential to their tech stack. These are the platform tools that they use to do their business. And there are others that are just shiny objects as to, wouldn't it be nice? Couldn't it be nice? And that actually is a great transition to events. I know that you and I are pretty big with events. I'm
Yeah.
curious, what do you like about events in general, and how do you feel that the attendee, the accountant, benefits from going to a conference?
Accountants are human beings first, and humans need other humans. You will be inspired by, in some cases, the least likely of people or sessions or experiences at a live event. I am so glad they are back. But for a time, and having gone to them as long as I have, you start to see some stagnation. You start to see a lot of the same speakers, a lot of the same topics, a lot of the just the sameness. And for an accountant, for some of them, it's been a good thing because it's like, I know what I'm going to get. I know I'm going in, I know I'm going to pay this, and I know that this is what it's going to be, and this is where it's going to be, and all of that. And I think the movement now is to do something different. Now that, we had such a pause on live events, I think it caused people to pause and think about their value. You know, um, it ain't CPE because, while that's important and definitely, you got to offer it and you got to have it, but it's not the draw because guess what? You can get, as you can get CPE for free in many, many cases, just sitting on your computer. You can get whatever learning you need, and that's not entirely why you go. Why you go is for the other humans in the room, the speakers, the session topics, and then everything in between in the hallways, the after parties, the hotel lobby, everything there. When you meet the other humans who are going through and have shared experiences just like you,
Mm-hmm.
that's the one thing that really stood out about the event that Accounting Web, my former employee, uh, did was we wanted to create something that was valuable and useful, and we felt that we put our pages on the stages there at
Mm-hmm.
in San Diego, but it was the humans that we got. We're not talking down or above anyone there. Everyone who was on a panel, everyone who was on a stage was like, "You're me, I'm you. You're like me. You might be at a different place than I am, but you get it. You're a
We're
practitioner.
peers.
Your peers, your
That's right.
colleagues, you're a practitioner or were. And so you know my pain, you know my struggles. I want to talk to you." And that's what, I think is the value of live events.
So there's one thing I want to emphasize here that I think you're really astute to bringing up. It's the fact that the live events are important and they are very much different than the virtual versions of the live events, because I know some of the events actually will stream the speakers and so forth.
Yeah.
And I think the attendee at the live event is experiencing something totally different than the person that's attempting to do it online. The virtual person is perhaps multitasking, but they're not going to get what you just described as those conversations in the hallway, the meetings at dinner after the conference. It's
The
there that the
unplanned
collaborations happen.
things. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Those are the gems that really come out of it. It's not the sessions that are solely where I get the information. It's that conversation in between where I meet with someone I'm seated next to,
Yeah.
where I build a friendship,
Or
I answer
after, right?
questions.
Like you
That's
actually get
right.
to talk to these people.
Yeah.
People queue up to talk to a panelist that was like, "You touched on this, and I didn't get to ask this question, so can I ask you?" And they'll take the time
Yeah.
to do that. Or if they don't have the time and they've got to run off and catch a plane, they're gonna be like, "Give me your information. I'm going to follow up with you."
Yeah, there's many a times that I've gone after the speaker has spoken to the stage to speak with them
Yeah.
one-on-one,
Yeah.
and those are phenomenal conversations. So definitely, I'm a big fan of live events, and like you, I'm glad that they're back, and I really look forward to them. I attend quite a few throughout the year, and here when we're recording this, I still have on the calendar one that I'm speaking at, two that I'm attending, three, four, five. I've got six more before the end of the year.
You go,
So yeah,
Roger. Good
yeah,
for
it's
you.
crazy. All right, so let's talk now about AI. You alluded to it earlier.
Yeah.
It is something that is on the horizon. It's
It
clearly
is.
making
Well, it's
waves.
here.
It's here. What should we know? What are some of the things that you would want to actually enlighten us to as you're doing your research and writing your papers?
Look, I am not a technologist. I feel comfortable writing about technology, trends, and some of the things that they do and don't do, and their impact on a particular business set. In this case, accounting. I've watched how accounting and automation in general has impacted the profession and continues to. And AI is just that. It is another level of automation. You know, I remember again a lot of the hype, the drama, the excitement, all of, at a very similar level around cloud. Going back, I would say maybe 12, 13 years ago or so when that was starting to, because cloud just meant like, okay, this was, you don't have to have all of that stuff that you work on. You can be working in the same version, in the same way with your clients in real time. It doesn't have to be loaded into your computer or on your server. It's just going to be there, and it's going to be safer and more secure and just, but at its core, the tools that were being created was a different level of automation than the profession was used to. And that's AI. AI is still going to require humans to make it what it needs to be. So there's an opportunity for accountants to do just that. Sure, is it going to ultimately change or even, I hate using the word, but replace
Uh-huh.
how certain functions and how certain jobs might even be today? Sure, cloud did that too, but it's just going to cause you to reinvent, reevaluate, but not replace. You know, not if it's thought about the right way, and not if there's kind of the right amount of perspective. And anyone, I'm sorry for all the fear mongering that's been going on around it, but anyone who's really truly afraid of this another next level of automation really replacing what you're doing, I think you've got bigger problems to face. That's just
Yeah.
my kind of blunt view on it. And in general, I'd like to come at it from a perspective of, this is something to be learned, to be embraced,
Yeah.
to, really just be, it's such a nascent time. I don't want to see what happened with cloud. There was so much pushback because, again, the freaking marketing, excuse me, the marketing behind it was the same. Like, oh, this, you got to, if you're not doing this, if you're not embracing the cloud, you're just, you're going to be dead in 5 years. Like, that's not the conversation that should be happening. The conversation that should be happening was, let me figure this out. It's such early days. Like, start playing around with it. Start figuring out what you can do, just like any of the tools that were available back then.
Yep.
Finally, like, we don't even really talk about cloud much anymore. It's just there, because that's
That's
just
a good point.
that's where all applications kind of are. It's where a lot of data
Yep.
is. So yeah, there's always going to be concerns. There's always going to be, fear or trepidation about the unknown. But that's my quick view of AI right now.
Well, one thing I'd like to then stress
Yes.
is your optimism for things. One of the things that I think a lot of times people take is they hear the fear mongering that goes on about the job going away.
Yeah, I
Well, we've
hate it.
heard that for over a decade. And one of the things that I think we just need to recognize is, rather than being afraid of this new tool, new technology, is to embrace it, get excited about it, become passionate about it. One of the things that I believe the
Yeah,
accounting
what can it
profession
do for
has,
you?
yeah, because one of the things that I think the accounting profession has experienced but has failed to really articulate is that our role with our clients has moved beyond just preparing the financials. We oftentimes become systems oriented of how to integrate various tools and technologies into their business models so that we can capture the data and actually do the work more efficiently. That flows through to our clients, and oftentimes we're involved in that process because I would imagine that as they see us, they're going to wonder, okay, how do I use this technology that helps me with inventory, helps me with payroll, helps me with these all these things that are essential for me running my business, But for me to incorporate them into my business, the accountant needs to be involved. I need you to help me with this because we're tracking numbers, we're recording numbers, and I need you to be involved with this. And there is a demand, a need for us to be familiar and very accepting, embracing of this technology in order to be relevant for our clients. And as long as we keep that perspective, I think we will be very valuable to our clients. We're not going to go to the wayside because we're replaced by anything. We're not being replaced at all. I think we're just now seeing that we're becoming even that much more valuable. One of the things that really stood out to me during the whole pandemic era is how important we were for businesses to actually get their PPP loans, to get their
Mhm.
ERC credits. I mean, all these things were
And
put out there as
who
carrots.
helped him do that? It was the
Exactly.
accountant.
All those carrots were put out there, but in order to qualify, you needed your accounting professional to come in and actually prepare all the numbers. And so that's what we need to recognize. So that this has been a great conversation. Seth, I'm going to wrap this up. Before I wrap it up, I want to actually
Went so
mention
fast,
some
man.
things. Oh, it did. It did. And one of the things I want to do is come back to you for a final thought. So two things for my listeners. One, as a free thing for listening, Seth has made available the ability to subscribe to his newsletter. Obviously, this is something that you want in order to remain current as to updated things that are taking place within the profession, insights and perspectives that he offers as to current trends. Those things are all available by going to the episode description, and there you'll find the information that you need in order to subscribe to his newsletter and get this information on a regular basis so that you can be in the know. So definitely take advantage of this opportunity to subscribe to Seth's newsletter and get the information you're needing to remain relevant and stay on top of your game as the industry leader in accounting for your clients. And that's what we're wanting to encourage you to do. So take advantage of that. Also, there in the episode description, you're going to find information regarding becoming a profit and growth expert. Just a moment ago, we were talking about this whole idea of advisory services. What is it? How do you offer it? How do you market and sell this to your clients? How do you price it? And these are all things that are actually addressed in the Profit and Growth Expert program, where you can literally learn exactly what it is you can be doing to take to your clients quality advisory services. Become for them that CFO business coach that they're needing, in addition to the bookkeeping, accounting, and tax services that you're currently providing. So if you'd like to take that next leap and add an additional revenue stream to your business, and most importantly, confidently work with your clients in that role of an advisor, definitely check out Becoming a Profit and Growth Expert and implementing the strategies as taught in the Universal Business Builder program. In addition to all of this, let me summarize all of our little highlights of the conversation today. First of all, I was very excited about having Seth on the show. He's a man who is in the know. He is working with those movers and shakers as he does his journalistic work for the accounting profession. So having him here, his perspective was very exciting. I loved how he described the accounting profession and the professional, us, as passionate and helpful. I think those two words are very telling of what it is we do. The other thing that I thought was very important is just kind of noting the evolution that the accounting profession has had just in these last few decades. Clearly, a debit and a credit still is exactly what it is. Still, business is run off of a balance sheet and a P&L statement, and the structures of that are obviously established. Accounting is the language of business. But we as accounting professionals have evolved. We're using different tools and technologies to leverage our time to work more efficiently and provide this quality information in a more real-time fashion to our clients, to be more forward-thinking. And clearly, there were some monumental things along the way, moving to cloud. Now we've got AI. We talked a little bit about conferences and events, why we should attend those, especially taking advantage of the live opportunity to interact with our peers. Lots of wonderful little insights and tidbits from today's conversation that I'm very grateful for. So, Seth, what would be your closing thought?
Roger, thank you for having me. My closing thoughts really would be take the time to learn. You're never done learning. Get out to a live event, explore some new software, look into AI, talk to someone who's been using some of the tools, figure out what it's going to take for your business to get to that next level. Don't let it be dictated to you. Take control. It's not your clients, it's you. That's pretty much the 2 cents that I would have in terms of my closing thoughts. There's tons more things that I could say, but in the time that we have, that's what I wish, because, you all are, small business might be the backbone of our economy. You're the backbone that keeps that backbone supported. Don't ever forget it.
I love it. I love it. Seth, wonderful. If you'd like to connect with Seth, I'd encourage you to do so via LinkedIn. Reach out to him there. Also, you can go to sethfeinberg.com and find information about him, his newsletter and such, and I would encourage you to do so. As a finality to this, my listeners, definitely want to encourage you, if you haven't already subscribe to the podcast. You'll definitely want to do that and set your notifications to receive those rings and bells as to when we release each and every week our new episodes. You'll want to go back and also binge listen to various topics that we have had with various experts as it relates to your business. Find those things that are regarding marketing, selling, pricing, perhaps client onboarding, tech stacks, mental health, training staff, a variety of topics that are all essential for you to run and have what I refer to as the premier accounting business. So go play those playlists, and in doing so, get the information that you need from the experts. Also, join us for GrowCon. GrowCon is an annual event. It's a live event, a conference you do not want to miss. It's a conference where we invite the owners of bookkeeping, accounting, and tax businesses to come and actually hear from the experts on stage, interact with your peers, hear and collaborate with one another as to what it is you can do better. And in doing so, oftentimes find additional resources and interests that will help your clients. And then lastly, you're going to meet with us here at Universal Accounting Center, the team, the staff, the individuals that I have committed to your success, allowing you to be in business for yourself, but not by yourself with Universal. So definitely sign up for, register, and join us for GrowCon. It's an event you do not want to miss. It is every year in May, and definitely want to see you there at the conference. Lastly, I do want to point out, if you'd like more information about this and other free resources, check out universalaccounting.com. Universalaccounting.com. There are a variety of free resources there, ebooks, reports, webinars, various things that you can take advantage of that are essentially there to assist you to be, in fact, that premier accounting firm. Also, if you would like more information about today's topics, our services, anything that you would like to do to discuss what it is you can be doing to work on your business, give us a phone call. You can contact Universal Accounting at 801-265-3777, or you can visit us at universalaccountingschool.com. And always remember this, if it's about accounting, it is universal. Take care and have a great day and be safe out there.